Mutation Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
It is yet another session of biology, and we'll be looking at genetics. I remember your humble smoking brain, and for today we'll be looking at the meaning of genetics, genetical terms, incomplete dominance, sex determination. We'll be looking at chromosomes, probability, sex-linked diseases, and lastly we'll be looking at the application of genetics to agriculture, to medicine, and the likes. So now, what is genetics? What is genetics? What is genetics? Genetics is the study of heredity and variation. Genetics is the study of heredity and variation. Genetics is the study of heredity and variation. What is hereditary? Heredity talks about something that is heritable, something that can be inherited. Okay, so genetics is subdivided into heredity and variation. Heredity and variation. What is heredity? Heredity talks about something that can be inherited. It talks about something that can be acquired. It talks about something that can be passed on. Variation is a marked differences that are seen a species in a population. Heredity again is a study, or it's not just a study. It talks about the transmission of characters from parents to offspring or progeny. Another word for offspring is progeny. Variation talks about the marked differences, the differences that are so visible that are seen in a population. Never forget, population here talks about the total number of species of a particular kind. It talks about the total number of a particular species staying in a geographical area at a particular time. And so now I've established the fact that genetics is probably subdivided into heredity and variation. We will now be looking at genetical terms. So we will now be looking at genetical terms. But even before then, variation is basically subdivided into two. About the morphological variation, while the physiological variation. Morphological variation is continuous, physiological variation is discontinuous. Morphological variation talks about those ones that are visible, those ones that you see. While physiological variation is innate. Morphological variation talks about height, shape, length, stem girth, and all that for plants. While physiological talks about ability to taste some chemicals, chemicals that are tasteless and some are sweet, like PTC, ability to taste PTC, phenylthiocarbamide. It talks about tongue rolling, blood group. It talks about hemophilia, even some diseases that can be inherited, so to speak. So genetical term, the first on our list. Okay, let me just list it out. Okay, so we'll briefly be looking at the listed genetical terms. So the first on our list happens to be genes. Genes. What are genes? I know genes happens to be something that you've probably been seeing here and there. And now genes are responsible for the characters that are transmitted from parent to offspring. Those characters that you possess, that it seems as if there is a striking resemblance with that of your dad, or that of your mom, or that of your parent in uniform or in unison is what we call a gene. Gene is responsible for the transmission of character. Like there's a character for tallness, there's a character for shortness, there's a character for dwarfism, there's a character for rolling of tongues, there is a character for there's a character for height, there's a character for color. And now, what is responsible for these characters is called a gene. The gene is responsible for this character. Where is the gene located? The gene is located inside the chromosome. The gene is located inside the chromosome. Don't forget, the gene is located inside the chromosome. What is a gamete? A gamete is a matured sex cell. A gamete is a matured sex cell. A gamete is a matured sex cell. And now, in plants, what are the gametes? In plants, the gametes are pollen grains. Pollen grains, we talked about this while we were treating flowers. Pollen grains and ovules. And those are the gametes. In animals, they are sperms and egg. Sperms and egg. In lower plants, we call them spores. And so, there are pollen grains and ovules in plants, sperms and eggs in animals. In lower animals, we call them spores. And so we're done with the gamete. What is a zygote? And now when two gametes, the male gamete and the female gamete fuse together, they form a zygote. When the male gamete and the female gamete fuse together, or the fusion of the male and female gamete is what we call the zygote. Now the zygote is diploid. The gamete is haploid. What is the meaning of haploid and diploid? So by extension, let's quickly look at diploid and haploid. Now what's the meaning of diploid and haploid? Haploid simply means half the total number of a particular thing. Half the total number of a particular thing. So if the total number is like 20, for example, haploid will be 20, half of it. Diploid simply means the original number, or twice the haploid number. So diploid will be 40. And so now gamete is haploid in the sense that the male will drop part of everything that he has. If, for example, now the male has, like, okay, let's use the concept of naira. The male has 20 naira. The male will drop 10 naira as a gamete. The female will drop, if the female has 20 naira, so the female will drop 10 naira as a gamete. Are you with me? So now the 10 naira that has been dropped is haploid. When two haploid comes together, they form diploid. So haploid is N, diploid is 2N. So zygote is diploid because it is two gamete, two haploid. So now let's move to the next one, chromosome. What is chromosome? Chromosome is a thread-like structure or a thread-like material that houses the gene. A chromosome is a thread-like structure, a thread-like material that houses the gene. The chromosome is located in the nucleus. The chromosome is located in the nucleus. And now what is phenotype? What is phenotype? Phenotype is a sum total of observable characters of a living organism. The sum total. Like, for example, if a particular woman happens to give birth to a twin, and one resides in Ajegunle and the other resides in Singapore, 20, 40 or 50 years after, if you happen to bring both of them and you drop them on a particular platform, you will notice that there are differences in their characters. There are differences in their expression. Yes, your guess is as good as mine. The environment has a part to play in phenotype. The environment has a major part to play in phenotype. Again, phenotype is the observable character. Oh, this guy is tall. This guy is short. Oh, this guy is quiet. This guy is that. Those are the phenotype. The sum total of observable characters of a living organism. Mathematically, phenotype is genotype plus environment. Mathematically, phenotype is genotype plus environment. Genotype plus environment. The genotype plus environment is what we call the phenotype. What then is the genotype? The genotype is the genetic makeup of an organism. The genotype is the genetic makeup of an organism. How the organism is made up is called the genotype. Genotype is the genetic makeup of an organism. Now, when the genetic makeup of an organism is influenced by the environment, again, we have what we call phenotype. Now, genotype these days happen to be a major issue. You see ladies before getting married or before knowing if truly they have a future with their spouse, they would be advised to go to the hospital to go know their genotype. Now, the genotypes are in that vein, or the genotype in that perspective is divided into three. We have the AA, we have the AS, and we have the SS. We have the AA, the AS, and the SS. The genotype is basically divided into three for humans. We have the AA, the AS, and the SS. The AA, they are very, very strong. The AS, they are strong as well, but not compared to the AA. Why the SS is known as the sickle cell anemia. They have sickle cell anemia. Most of them, you see, there are several characteristics that you notice concerning them. They are usually weak. And most times they feel pain at every part of their joint. They feel pain because oxygen is not well circulated. There is an irregular formation of hemoglobin. Irregular formation. And you know one thing about irregularity in the body? It spreads. It grows faster even than regular cells. And that is a problem. But we'll still talk about this extensively. AA, AS, and SS. Characters or traits. I talked about it. Characters or traits talks about tallness, shortness, moodness, baldness, ability to roll tongue, blinking of the eyes, jacking of nails, different characters, okay, color, shape, and all that. So now what is an allelomorph? Allelomorph is an alternate form of gene. Grammar. Allelomorph is another form of gene. Allelomorph simply means, okay, now when they say look at that guy, invariably they are saying look at that boy. Invariably they are saying look at that man. And so it's like another way of saying it. A guy is a man. A man was once a boy. And so it's like same line. You're still talking about masculinity. Masculinity. So allelomorph is an alternate form of gene. If a gene is AA, you can also be rewritten as A. If a gene is AA, it can also be rewritten as A. So another form of this is this. Another form of this is this. So that's what we call allelomorph. So whenever we call allelomorph, what readily comes to mind is an allelic pair. Allelic pair. And in most books they call it allele. A-L-L-E-L-E. So this is an allele. This is also an allele. Another form of it. This is a pair, allelic pair. This is just an allele. Dominant character. What is a dominant character? A dominant character is a character that is expressed fully. A character that is seen. When you see a guy walking towards you and that guy is very tall, the dominant character is tallness. If you see somebody walking towards you and after speaking with the person, you notice that the person is very, very dull, the dominant character there is dullness. You see some people, they are fair, the dominant character is fairness. Some are dark, the dominant character is darkness, as the case may be, is black or anything you used to call it. So recessive character. Recessive characters are characters that are masked. Recessive characters are characters that are covered. Recessive characters are characters that are hidden in the presence of dominant character. When you see a person walk up towards you and you notice the person is tall, it means that person has a recessive character of shortness. Recessive characters are characters that are hidden when dominant character is showing. When the dominant character is speaking, recessive character will keep quiet. And now this young man standing before you is tall. Hypothetically, is tall. And so the dominant character is what? Shortness. And this young man standing before you is short. The dominant, this man standing before you is short. The dominant character is shortness. The recessive character will be otherwise, like tallness, like that. But it's not usually the case. It's like you're using positive and you're using something that is very close to positive. But most times, when you see somebody that is dark, it means the recessive character is fairness. The dominant character is darkness. And these your parents have a part to play in this. We'll look at that. So let's look at homozygous. Homozygous simply means the characters you have are of the same level. It simply means the characters you have are of the same volume. It simply means the characters you are of the same, like very, very close. They are almost like the same percentage. So homozygous here talks about AA. Have you seen it? Both characters are the same. AA, SS, SS. It talks about M. It talks about TT. TT, capital letter TT, small letter TT. How do you know homozygous character? You know them by the size of the letter. When both capital letters are used, it means they are homozygous. When small letters are used, both, it means they are homozygous as well. Heterozygous simply means the characters are different. Like you might have A, this is heterozygous. SS, this is heterozygous. TT, heterozygous, they are different. But when both of them are of the same size, they are homozygous. So we're done with homozygous and heterozygous. Filial generation. Filial generation is the generation that comes through you. As a matter of fact, we have 4 filial generation: first filial generation, second filial generation, and the third filial generation. Yeah, we have 3 filial generation, but in each generation we have 4 different offsprings. 4 different offsprings. I'll show you the filial generation now. Filial generation. You have AA, and you have, okay, let's know this is AA. We have somebody that is very, very tall. We have somebody that is very, very short. This is homozygous tallness. This is homozygous shortness. Now, the fact that TT is tall doesn't mean SS will be short. No. TT is tall. Small letter TT is for shortness. That's what we do it, like mathematically. When you use a capital letter for a particular character, the small letter of that particular letter will be the opposite. If, for example, now, this one, X is for smoothness. It means small letter S is for roughness. You're not going to use arrow. No, we don't do it that way. Use use uppercase and lowercase for a particular character. If uppercase is used for a particular character, a contrasting character will take the lowercase. And so here, TT is tallness, this is shortness. So T will come with T. We'll have TT. T, this same T will come with the other T. We have TT. T will come with T. We have TT. T will come with T. We have TT. And so look at this. Is this homozygous or heterozygous? Heterozygous, 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 and heterozygous. So these 4 offsprings are called the first filial generation, F1. The first filial generation. If you continue like that, we have second, we have third. Like that. Are you with me? So that means the first child is going to be tall. Now if you have T and T, what's the dominant character here? T. Capital T has power, has muscle and every other thing compared to this. So this will just keep quiet. So tallness will be seen. Tallness will be seen. Tallness will be seen. So for that 4 offsprings, all 4 will be tall. All 4 will be tall. So now let's take a look at the next one. Hybrid. What is an hybrid? Hybrid is the offsprings. Hybrid is the resulting offsprings that is gotten from 2 different pairs. Hybrid is a resulting offspring. The offspring you get from contrasting pairs. Like for example now, somebody is tall, somebody is short. 2 contrasting parents. Parents with 2 dissimilar characters. When they come together, the offspring you get is called hybrid. Hybrid. Like somebody is black, another person that is fair. When they come together, the resulting child is called hybrid. And most times, hybrid tend to have a character of the father, a character of the mother. Both parties are character. So we call them hybrid. Locus. What is locus? Locus is the positioning of a gene. The location of a gene. The positioning. The house of a gene. Where this gene is at this particular time is called the locus, the positioning. Diploid we talked about. What is mutation? Mutation is an abrupt change or an abnormal change in the genetic makeup of an organism. Now, one common one I could just talk about. One common one is Down syndrome. Down syndrome affects chromosome 21. Now, usually 23 chromosomes will come from the father, 23 chromosomes from the mother. Now, that means invariably the child will have 21 chromosomes, two 21 chromosomes. And so when you have extra copy to make it 3, that's what we call Down syndrome. The child has low mental alertness, low cognitive ability. You cannot just get things easily. The shape of the nose is somehow deformed. At times they bring out their tongues and all that. Even aside from all this, we also have some genetical disease like cystic fibrosis. When there is difficulty in breathing, usually the gastric juice, those juices in the body, they produce mucus and all that. The mucus that is produced in the body is usually thin and slippery, and they act as lubrication, so enzymes and everything will be able to function well. But when there's an abnormal gene, a defective gene in the body, all these mucus are supposed to be thin, they will now be very, very thick. So the implication of this is that they will block every pathways. Where blood and everything is supposed to be passing, they will block it. You have difficulty in even your nose is you're having issues, you can't breathe very well like that. So that's cystic fibrosis. And those are genetical diseases, so to speak. So haploid and another. We're done with it. So quickly we'll look at incomplete dominance. We'll look at sex determination. We'll look at chromosomes, probability, sex-linked diseases, and lastly we'll look at application. Okay, so now we'll be looking at incomplete dominance. Incomplete dominance. Incomplete dominance talks about a dominance that is not complete. Now, what are we trying to say? For incomplete dominance, the character that the offspring possess is far different from the character of the parent and from the character of the father and the character of the mother. This is what I'm trying to say. Incomplete dominance has been seen in 4 o'clock plants. 4 o'clock. It has been seen in 4 o'clock plants. That's Mirabilis jalapa. Mirabilis jalapa. It has been seen in Andalusian fowl. Andalusian fowl as well. In various organisms. Now I said the offspring, the character of the offspring is different from that of the father and the mother. Now for the Mirabilis jalapa, a pure red male, it was crossed with a pure white female. At the end of the day, we are actually expecting the offspring to either have white or either red. But what happens is that the offspring now possess what we call pink color. So when the offspring possess a character that is different from that of the mother or the father, we call it what? Incomplete dominance. The father has his own character, the mother has her own character. The character of the mother is different from that of the father. That of the father is different from that of the mother. When both of them tend to like copulate and they give birth, the character that the child possesses, if it happens to be different from what the father and the mother possess, it's called incomplete dominant. It's seen in 4 o'clock plasmid jalapa. It's seen in Andalusian fowl. And so now we quickly move to an interesting part, very interesting, sex determination. My question is this: the father or the mother, who determines sex? Father and mother, who determine sex? The father and the mother who determine sex. Now, it is worthy of note that there are 46 chromosomes in the body. Human has got 46 chromosomes, and that is 23 pairs. 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs. 23 pairs, we call it haploid. 46 chromosomes, we call it diploid. Are you with me? Father and mother. So father has 46, mother has 46. So the father will drop, out of the 46, father will drop 23, mother will drop 23, and both will be added together and we'll have 46. So who determines sex? Now out of these 46, okay, let's mix it up. Out of these 23 pairs, the first 22 pairs are called autosomes. The first 22 pairs are called autosomes. The word autosomes talks about a chromosome that is involved in the development of the body. Development of the body. These ones are involved in the development of the body. We call them autosomes. And so it remains one pair to make it 23 pairs. And now this one pair, we have that of male and we have that of female. And so for the male, which is the father, man, mother, woman. Now for the male has the last pair. The last pair is not called autosomes. The first 23 are called autosomes, and the last pair is not called autosomes. They are called sex cell. Sex cell. And so now what is the sex cell for father and what is the sex cell for mother? That of father is called XY. That of father is called XY. While that of mother is called XX. That of father is called XY. That of mother is called XX. Now, irrespective of the location, time, venue, whether it's space, so whether the husband and wife get to like sleep with themselves, even in a 5-star hotel, irrespective of the location, the man will either drop X or Y. The man will either drop X or what? Or Y. The mother, at all times, whether it is Israel, Iran or Iraq, irrespective of the location, and the mother will only drop X. That's X or X. So XS is still the same thing. The mother can only drop X because she has only X. She cannot give what she doesn't have. She can only give X. The father has both X and Y. And so as I've said earlier, the father produces the X garment or the Y garment, while the mother at all time will produce the X garment. And so now, during sexual copulation, the mother will drop this. The father will drop one of these. If it happens that the father drops X, and the mother at all time will usually drop X, we'll have 2X. XS, the resulting child will be a female. It's a bouncing baby girl, mama na girl. So that means the father succeeded in dropping X. The mother will always drop X. So that has been a constant. And so the father succeeded in dropping X. And so we'll have a female. Now if it happens that the father drops Y, the mother drops X, we'll have XY. And XY is what? Male. And so now, the summary of it all is that the father is the one that is determining the sex of the unborn child. The father is the one that will determine the sex of the incoming child. The father is the one that will determine the sex of his offspring. The mother at all times will only drop X chromosome. The father can either drop X chromosome or Y chromosome. The father is the decision maker when it comes to having a bouncing baby boy or a bouncing baby girl. Are you with me? And so issues of mother-in-law traveling down from Owerri to come colonize their habitat and the mother, as usual, will be victimizing the wife. You are this, you are that. You refuse to give me a male child. What is all this? I'll send you away. My son will marry another person, not knowing that the son is the one at fault. So what you need to do is sit her down and you explain to her. But you will be in that situation. So let's move on. So we are done with the meaning, the genetical terms, incomplete dominance, and sex determination. Now we'll be looking at chromosomes extensively, and we'll do some little calculations, and that's what we call it probability, then sex-linked character. Let's quickly go chromosomes. Let's look at it. The word chromosome, chromo means colored. Chromo means colored. Somes means body. So chromosomes to a layman is a colored body. A body that is colored is called chromosomes. Chromo, color, somes, body. Chromosomes, colored body. A chromosome is a thread-like structure. 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 For the last time, a chromosome is a thread-like structure. So now let me give you a vivid structure of a chromosome. So this is a chromosome, a thread-like structure, a thread-like structure. Now the threads are attached at a particular point called, the centromere. Chromosomes are attached at a particular point, they are attached to one another at a point called the centromere. And now these two threads are called a pair of sister chromatids. So chromosome material are called chromatids. Chromosomes material are called chromatids. A pair of sister chromatids. So this as well is another pair of sister chromatids. They are attached together at a point called the centromere. There is a region behind the centromere, a region surrounding the centromere where proteins are found. This region, just hypothetically look at it, they are called the kinetochore. They are called the kinetochore or the kinetochore. It's a region that possesses a region where protein is found. So chromosome is a thread-like structure that houses the gene. The chromosome is located in the nucleus. The chromosome is located in the nucleus. Now this is the chromosome. Inside the chromosome is where? In the nucleus. Inside the chromosome we have the DNA. Inside the chromosome we have the DNA, and inside the DNA we have the gene. So the gene is inside the DNA is inside the chromosome, and the chromosome is inside the nucleus. I take it again. The gene is inside the DNA is inside the chromosome is located inside the nucleus. There have been issues with different school of thought concerning this classification. Some said the gene is in the chromosome while the DNA is inside the gene. Some said the gene is in the DNA. Well, however it is, both the DNA and the gene, they are inside the chromosome, and the chromosome is inside the nucleus. The chromosome carries the DNA, the chromosome houses the gene. The chromosome is a thread-like structure, a pair of sister chromatids, the centromere, and the kinetochore. The kinetochore. Now, chromosome is responsible for character penetrance. How the characters of the parent are penetrated into the offspring. How the offspring tend to inherit the characters of the parent. That is the function or the work of the chromosome. That is the function or the work of the chromosome. The chromosome consists of repeated units. The chromosome consists of repeated units called the nucleotide, or called the nucleotide. Now, it will also interest you to know that the DNA, which is a part of the chromosome, is the part that contains the nucleotide. Let me explain something. Okay, so we've established the definition of chromosome. So let's take a look at DNA. Now, we're done with gene. Let's take a look at DNA as chromosome, the basis of inheritance. DNA. Now, DNA simply means deoxyribonucleic acid. deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA. It is a double-stranded structure. It is a double-stranded structure. And what kind of structure is that in particular? It has an helical structure. It has an helical structure. We'll draw it and you will see. It is consists of repeating units called the nucleotide. It is consists of repeating unit called the nucleotide. Now this nucleotide has three major groups. They have the ribose sugar. They have the ribose sugar. Sorry, they have the pentose sugar. Pentose sugar, the word pentose, pentose sugar is a 5-carbon sugar. They have the pentose sugar, a 5-carbon sugar. They have nitrogenous bases. They have nitrogenous bases. And lastly, they have phosphate group. They have phosphate group. So nucleotide simply means this plus this will give you nucleotide. Now, whenever you have a pentose sugar, a 5-carbon sugar, and you have nitrogenous bases, and you don't have phosphate group, we'll call such arrangement nucleoside. We'll call it nucleoside. So the difference between nucleotide and nucleoside is the presence or absence of phosphate group. Whenever the phosphate group is there, we'll call it what? Nucleotide. If the phosphate group is absent, we'll call it what? Nucleoside. So let's quickly take a look at the constituent: pentose sugar, nitrogenous bases, and phosphate group. Pentose sugar. Now, pentose sugar is a 5-carbon sugar, as I've said earlier, a 5-carbon sugar. It is basically divided into two. We have deoxyribose sugar. We have deoxyribose sugar and we have ribose sugar. Now, the difference between deoxyribose sugar and ribose sugar is that at a particular carbon, oxygen is absent. At carbon 2, oxygen is absent for deoxyribose sugar, while at carbon 2, oxygen is present. Ribose sugar is found in RNA. Deoxyribose sugar is found in DNA. RNA simply means ribonucleic acid. So we're done with pentose sugar. Let's quickly take a look at the nitrogenous bases. Nitrogenous bases. Nitrogenous bases are basically divided into two. The major component of nitrogenous bases is nitrogen. They are basically divided into two. We have the pyrene and the pyrimidine. We have the purine and the pyrimidine. The purine and the pyrimidine. The purine is basically divided into two. We have adenine, and guanine. While for the pyrimidine, we have cytosine and thiamine, and lastly we have uracil. And don't forget, for purine we have adenine and guanine. For pyrimidine we have cytosine and thiamine alongside uracil. So these are the nitrogenous bases. So doing pairing, crossing over and all that, there will be a change. There will be a merging between these two groups, between purine and pyrimidine. So doing what grammar we are using? Doing replication, doing replication, there would be guanine pairing with another of pyrimidine, and there will be some part of pyrimidine pairing with another side of purine. So that's what we're going to be looking at. So doing replication, guanine would pair with cytosine. Guanine will pair with cytosine, and then adenine will pair with thiamine. So doing replication, guanine will pair with cytosine, guanine and cytosine. Then adenine will pair with what? Thiamine. Don't forget, guanine will pair with cytosine, adenine will pair with what? Thiamine. Now guanine and cytosine has double bond, adenine and thiamine has triple bond. So that means when it comes to breaking them down, this one would be broken down easily compared to this. Now doing replication also, thymine is being replaced by uracil. Doing replication as well, thymine is being replaced by uracil. So again, nitrogenous bases are divided into two, purine and pyrimidine. Purine is Ag, adenine and guanine. Pyrimidine is cytosine, thymine and uracil. Guanine will pair with cytosine, adenine will go with thymine. And doing replication, thymine is being replaced by uracil. So let me give you the structure of the DNA at this stage. But even before I give you, let's take a look at the last part. So the last one is called the phosphate group. The phosphate group. So the phosphate group contains phosphorus as the major part. Oh, phosphorus. And so this is just it, minus. Phosphorus is what we call the phosphate group that is present. So let's look at the structure of the DNA. Okay. So recall we have the nitrogenous bases. Now most times that's 9 repeating units, nucleoside. So now recall I said adenine goes with guanine, cytosine, adenine goes with guanine. No, guanine go with cytosine, adenine go with thymine. Don't forget G, C, A, T. So T will now be replaced by uracil. But we haven't gotten to that stage here. So whenever we have adenine here, we must have what here? Thymine. Whenever we have guanine here, we must have cytosine. If we have cytosine, we need to have guanine. If we have thymine, we must have adenine. If we have adenine, we must have thymine. If we have cytosine, we must have guanine. That's GC. Wherever you see wherever you see C, G must be there. One thing about the DNA strand is that they are complementary. They are complementary. They are complementary bases. So if you have adenine, you see thymine. If you have guanine, you see cytosine. If you have thymine, you see adenine, like that. So this is the DNA helical structure. DNA helical structure. And most times this one might just be hang around a pentose sugar 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. You hang around a pentose sugar. Then lastly here you might just have your phosphate group binding them together. You would see. You see. So basically this is our DNA is responsible for character transmission. So we look at many things and we've established several facts. We look at chromosome as the basis of inheritance or the unit of character penetrance. We look at DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. It contains nitrogenous bases, phosphate group, and pentose sugar. So we call it what? We call them rather nucleotide. However, when phosphate group is absent, we call it nucleoside. So we look at many things, and now we now move to probability, some little calculation. Then we look at sex-linked disease, then the application. Probability. Okay. Let me. Okay. What is the probability that would result if an heterozygous man versus a let's make it up. A heterozygous woman. A heterozygous man versus heterozygous woman. Now this heterozygous man is tall. As usual, you know heterozygous is capital letter and small letter. So the gene for tallness is this. Heterozygous woman. This heterozygous woman is tall and short as well. TT. And so now we want to pair and want to know the probability in the first filial generation. How do we do it? Very easy. T will pair with T. We'll have TT. This T will pair with the second one. We'll have TT. T will pair with this. We'll have TT. T will pair with T. We'll have TT. Now let's look at the generation. How many capital letter TT do we have? Just one. 1. In what ratio? How many TT? 2. So 1:2 1:1. So 1:2:1. So what is the percentage that the offspring that will be giving birth to will have homozygous tallness? What is the percentage that this will occur? What is the percentage that this will occur? It is very, very easy. It's going to be the ratio of this, which is 1, over the total. 1 plus 2, 3. 3 plus 1, 4. 1/4 times 100/1. What is the percentage that TT will occur? What is the percentage that the child that will be giving birth to will have capital letter T and another capital letter T? So the answer here now is 25%. So 25% is in favor of that. Now what is the percentage that the resulting offspring will have capital letter T and small letter t? What is the percentage that the child will have heterozygous tallness? You add these two together, that's 2, abi? So it's going to be 2 over, what's total? 4 times 100/1. 2 here, 1, 2 4, 2. 2 here, 1, 2 150. So it is 50%. So this one is 25%. This is 50%. Lastly, 1/4 for this will also give you what? 25%. So in total, we still have 100%. So the percentage that the resulting offspring will have heterozygous tallness is 50%. Homozygous tallness is 25%. Homozygous shortness, that the child is going to be short, is also 25%. So let's quickly take a look at one other one. One other one, okay? Okay. And now what will happen, most times people have been saying, don't get married. If you are AA, you can marry AS. If you are AS, don't get married to another AS. It's not advisable. If you are AS, don't get married to SS. Why are they saying that? So let's take a look at it. Now, if you're AA, can AA get married to AX? Let's take a look at it. Now, AA, AS, AA, AS. So we have AS, we have AA, AS, AAS. Now you see the resulting offspring will have 2 AA. There will be 50% AA and there will be 50% AS. AA and AS, are they okay? Yes, very okay. So AA can get married to AS, no medical issues, no fright, no pessimistic thoughts, so to speak. And now let's look at it. Can AA get married to SS? So we have AS, 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 AS. Now the 4 offsprings that I would be giving birth to, they're all going to have AS, AS, and AX. Now, this is also good, but it is actually not advisable. Why? Because you need to consider these children. These children will as well go out and they will look for somebody to get married to. I imagine them happening to fall in love with Labake, and Labake is also SS or AS. It won't be palatable. So let's look at the last one. But AS can actually get married to SS. But when you consider the future of the children, something is at stake. So lastly, we will now look at AA and okay. So let's look at AS and SS. Can they really get married? AS and SS. Okay, let's say AS and AS at first. So we have AA, AS, AS, SS. Woo! No! Woo! No! No! Now look at this. Let me explain something. Now this is AA, this is AS, AS, and this is SS. Now the first child, AA, good, 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 not good. Now one thing is this. One thing to understand is this. This is a probability check. The fact that this is the first, second, third, fourth doesn't mean most people, they are funny. They think, okay, when they sleep with their wife, they give birth to the first child. The first child will be AA. If I do it again, second time will be AS. If I do it again, third time will be AS. Once I get it, I won't do it again. Because I know that the next child that will come will be SS. So I don't want problem. No, it doesn't work that way. You'll be shocked. What this particular chart simply means is that the probability that your child will come up as SS is 25% out of 100. That means this is 1/4. That means if you have 4 children, one of them will have SS. It might even come first. You'll be shocked. If you have 4 children, one of them will have SS. Mathematically, that is proven. 4 children, one of them will have SS. However, we cannot determine the order. We don't know which one will come first. Don't think this one will come first, second, third, and here you now pause. You say, I don't want this one. You might be sure it might even come second, it might come first. You don't know. Are you with me? So my advice for you, my candid advice, however, is that get to know your genotype. You know, the person you're with, do you see yourself staying? Do you see a future with that person? Get to know your genotype. Get to know our genotype as well. Miracles happen. I'm not against that, but it's actually good to be wise. So now we'll be looking at sex-linked diseases. Sex-linked diseases. Okay, so now we'll be looking at sex-linked diseases and the application of genetics. Sex-linked diseases, an interesting part. I need you to stay focused and I need you to listen. And now, what is color blindness? Now, color blindness is a genetically inherited disease. It affects your ability to distinguish between colors. You practically don't know the differences between some notable colors. And when you say a particular color, you can't even tell. And you know, coupled with the fact that these days we have diverse colors. You hear power line blue, different colors and all that. So your ability to distinguish between colors near object. If you want to see an object that is very close to you, your ability to distinguish between that color is what we call color blindness. Color blindness. It is a genetical disease. However, it is carried by a recessive gene. It's carried by a recessive gene. It is also linked with sex. Hemophilia. Now, hemophilia simply means excessive bleeding, inability of the body to clothe. If you have an open wound and the wound refuses to clothe, despite the fact that you've given it time and all that, it is called hemophilia. It is a sex-linked disease as well. It is maternally inherited. X chromosome, that has a lot to do with the mother. The mother has a part to play, a major part. So we call it maternally inherited diseases. Hemophilia. We have badness, and this is common among men. The dorsal part of their head lacks hair. There is no hair there. It is also controlled by a recessive gene. We have sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia. So what happens is this for the sickle cell anemia? As I said earlier, it affects the hemoglobin. Now, what's the function of the hemoglobin? The hemoglobin carries blood and transports it to all parts of the body where they are needed, the muscles, the knee, every part of the body, so to speak. And so now, a person that has a sex-linked disease called sickle cell anemia will have some of his hemoglobin, the red blood cell, it will have it clothed, it will have it shaped like a sickle. The shape is like something like a sickle. It is irregular. It is not like the normal shape. It is irregular. Now the effect of this is this. You know, naturally blood will get to those hemoglobin. Then when blood gets there, they transfer it to every part of the body. When blood gets to this irregularly shaped or sickle cell hemoglobin, they will not be able to transport it. And so there will be insufficient, there will be insufficient flow of oxygen in the body. There will be insufficient flow of blood in the body. So those parts that refuse to get blood, for those who are having sickle cell anemia, they will be having crisis. They will feel pain in their joint, every part of their body. And most times they can't even sleep at night. And they just feel pain all over. They feel pain all over. Because blood is not circulated. Blood is not well transported in the body. And one thing, as I've said earlier, is that those cells tend to outgrow even the normal cell. One thing with abnormality is that it has the ability to grow and grow and grow and grow, while normality takes time. And so that's actually part of it. So we have a sickle cell anemia. And we have albinism. And most people call them locally, albinism. So albinism is actually caused by a recessive gene. Actually, those people that have got albinism, there is no melanin in them. There is lack of melanin. Melanin is the black pigment in humans. And so when there is lack of melanin, which is also a sex-linked disease, albinism will result. So now, what is the application of genetics? Now I've said it all, but I'm going to summarize it now. In agriculture, what could be the effect, the advantages, or the probable benefits of genetics to agriculture? It has been seen over time. Even before now, there are some fruits that we get to see in a particular season. But all of a sudden, they are available in every season, thanks to genetics. Okay, so now we'll be looking at the application of genetics. You know, we've said it all thus far. What benefit is the knowledge of genetics in agriculture? There are basically some fruits that we do not get to see before now, but practically in every season, those fruits are now present. So the knowledge of genetics has helped us in making available these fruits in every season. The knowledge of genetics has helped us in improving our crops. The knowledge of genetics has helped us in planting resistant crops that are resistant whether to a particular disease this also. The knowledge of genetics has helped us in improving our chemicals, our nematicides, even our fertilizers. The knowledge of genetics has been so wow. And now in medicine, genetics has really helped us. There is now counseling for marriage couples. Even before they get married, they get to know their blood group, they get to know their genotype, they get to know if they are compatible or not. The knowledge of genetics has helped us in blood transfusion. The knowledge of genetics has also helped us in parenting. You want to know your father, genetics will help. The major reason why you fail to look like your father and you look like your landlord, genetics will tell you that. Genetics is just all encompassing. It breaks down mysteries. Are you having any mystery? Genetics will help out. Genetics has also helped out in reproduction, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction, all forms. Self-fertilization, cross-fertilization, cross-breeding, inbreeding, and everything you need to know under reproduction. Genetics has dealt with that. Indeed, it's been a nice time out with you. I love this adventure. Thank you. Okay, some questions will pop up on your screen. Have adrenaline rush. Attempt those questions. It's going to be fun. Should you have any problem, go through the video over and over again. It's self-explanatory. Thank you.